What if the hardest part of your journey isn't starting, but going back? What if strengthening others requires you to walk again through the very places that once broke you? And what if real faith isn't just about believing, but about staying, building, and enduring? After everything Paul and Barnabas had faced, rejection, misunderstanding, violence, and near death, you might expect them to finally slow down, to choose a safer path, to avoid the places that had caused them so much pain. But that's not what they did. Instead of retreating, they returned. After preaching the good news in Derbe and seeing many become disciples, they made a decision that seems almost unthinkable. They went back to Lystra, Iconium, and Antioch, the very cities where they had faced intense opposition. The same Lystra where Paul had been stoned and left for dead. The same Iconium where a plot had been formed to kill them. The same Antioch where they had been driven out. They went back, not out of carelessness, not out of pride, but out of purpose. Because their mission wasn't just to start something, it was to build something that would last. They knew that faith doesn't grow strong on its own. It needs encouragement, it needs guidance, it needs people willing to come alongside and say, keep going. So they returned, not to relive the pain, but to strengthen the believers. Imagine the courage that took. Walking into places filled with memories of rejection, facing the possibility that the same things could happen again. And yet they went. Because for Paul and Barnabas, the people mattered more than their comfort. When they arrived, they didn't just visit casually. They intentionally strengthened the disciples. They encouraged them to remain true to the faith. Remain. That word carries weight, because it's one thing to begin believing. It's another thing to continue when life gets hard. And Paul didn't hide that reality. He told them something honest, something we don't always expect to hear. We must go through many hardships to enter the kingdom of God, not might, not sometimes, must. That's not a message of comfort, it's a message of truth. Because following God doesn't remove difficulty, it gives it meaning, it gives it direction, it gives it purpose. Paul wasn't discouraging them, he was preparing them. He wanted them to understand that faith is not just about moments of joy or miracles, it's about endurance. It's about staying steady when things don't go as planned. It's about trusting God not just in the victories but in the struggles. And then they did something foundational. They appointed elders for them in each church. This wasn't just about leadership, it was about stability. They prayed, they fasted, and they committed these new leaders to the Lord, in whom they had put their trust. That phrase matters, put their trust, because everything they were building depended on that. Not on Paul, not on Barnabas, not on human strength, but on God. They understood something deeply important. If the foundation is right, the structure can stand, even through storms, even through opposition, even through time. After strengthening the churches, they continued their journey. They passed through Pisidia, came into Pamphylia, preached the word in Perga, and then went down to Italia. And from there they sailed back to Antioch. This Antioch was different from the others. This was the place where it all began. The place where they had been committed to the grace of God for the work they had now completed. Think about that moment. Returning to where they were first sent out, carrying stories, scars, testimonies, evidence of what God had done. When they arrived, they gathered the church together, and they reported everything. Not just what they had done, but what God had done through them. That's an important distinction, because it's easy to focus on our efforts, our actions, our role. But Paul and Barnabas knew the true story was about God's work. They spoke about how God had opened a door of faith to the Gentiles. A door, something that was once closed, now open. Something that once seemed unreachable, now available. This wasn't just expansion, it was transformation. The message was no longer limited. It was moving outward, reaching people who had never been included before. And that's still happening today. Doors opening, hearts changing, lives being transformed. Not because of human effort alone, but because God is still working. After sharing everything, Paul and Barnabas stayed there a long time with the disciples. They didn't rush off to the next thing. They stayed. Because sometimes, after the journey, after the movement, after the challenges, what we need most is rest, reflection, and connection. This final part of the story carries something powerful for us. Because it shows that faith is not just about starting strong, it's about continuing faithfully. It's about returning when it's hard. It's about strengthening others. It's about building something that lasts beyond your presence. And maybe that speaks directly into your life right now. Maybe you've started something, but you're not sure how to continue. Maybe you've faced challenges, and you're wondering if it's worth going back. Maybe you've been hurt, and the idea of returning feels impossible. But what if going back is part of your purpose? Not to relive the pain, but to bring strength, to bring encouragement, to bring growth. Because the places that challenged you might be the very places where your strength can make the biggest difference. Paul didn't pretend the hardships didn't exist. He acknowledged them. He spoke about them. But he didn't let them define the outcome. Instead, he used them to prepare others, to create a faith that could stand under pressure. And that kind of faith is different. It's not shallow, it's not temporary, it's rooted. And maybe that's what God is building in you right now. Something deeper, something stronger, something that doesn't break when life gets difficult, but grows through it. The journey of Paul and Barnabas reminds us that faith is not a straight line. It's a path filled with moments of courage, decisions of trust, and steps of obedience. Sometimes forward, sometimes back, but always moving with purpose. And as you reflect on this story, there's a question that quietly rises. Where is God calling you to go back? Not to stay stuck, not to reopen wounds, but to bring something new, strength, hope, encouragement. Because you've changed, you've grown, you've experienced things that can now help others. And that matters more than you realize. So don't be afraid of the return. Don't avoid the places that shaped you, because within them there may be opportunities waiting, people needing support, moments ready to unfold. And through it all, remember this: you're not doing it alone. The same God who guided Paul and Barnabas is guiding you. The same grace that carried them is available to you. The same purpose that drove them forward can shape your path. So keep going, keep building, keep strengthening, even when it's not easy, even when it requires courage, even when it means returning. Because what you're part of is bigger than a moment. It's a journey, a calling, a story still being written, and your role in it matters more than you think. Thank you for watching this video. If this message spoke to your heart, don't forget to like, follow the channel Holy Path Insights, and share this video with someone who might need encouragement today. Your support helps spread faith, hope, and truth to people all around the world.